yeah, Western Appreciation of Art, and gym.
Gym.
Yeah.
Amidst all the art courses.
Yes, because I need to work out, and it's a good way to kind of motivate me to go to school.
Yeah, totally. That's great. I was just gonna say like that. That was one of the most like sanity-inducing things that I did during animation, was just like make sure that I kept, yeah, I was looking after myself. You can't just be a drawing machine all the time.
Yeah, so I'm definitely excited for that. It's gonna be
That's
good.
great.
Yeah, and I know the
Awesome.
teachers too, so
Yeah, that so well fits into the poster that I sent you.
yeah. All right, so
What, sorry,
sorry.
what did you say?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I didn't have a thought. I don't know. I don't know what I was going to say.
Okay. I'm like, oh, should we get started on the lesson? And
Yeah, of
yeah.
course. Sure. Okay. I'm just gonna do a screen share.
Do you know what today is?
Sorry?
You know what today is
What's today?
in American culture? It's Super Bowl Sunday.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
I see. Is that starting soon?
It started. The halftime show is soon, so
Okay.
yeah.
Well, shoot. I didn't mean to interrupt that.
Oh no, please interrupt that. It's totally cool.
Okay, cool. So you mentioned, first of all, do you have any work this week, or are you going to send that tonight, or what's going on there?
I was just gonna send it in a big pile on Wednesday, if that's cool with you.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I'll give you an hour of feedback this week since we didn't do anything this past week.
Perfect.
So I began making a short list of things to include with the freehand room drawing, but then I thought it'd be best just to find some good examples. So I scoured the internet for a bunch of good stuff, and I thought I would just talk about some good examples in each one of them. Let's see. And these aren't all just room drawings, by the way, because I started to find a bunch of good portfolio examples in general of different exercises. And I don't know, I thought it'd be good to go over some things again, just in case like any of them you've forgotten about or whatever else. It's just good to sort of repeat anything that we've talked about so far and just talk about the whole portfolio since the whole thing's going to be due soon. So not to put the pressure on you, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I'm ready for the portfolio, but yeah, it's
Cool.
yeah. Don't mind me. I slept too long today.
I see. So this is a great example of one of the room drawings. And I think we've sort of been talking about this, but it's very important to draw through everything. So you'll notice in this drawing, in a lighter blue, it's just two tones of blue. In that lighter blue color, they're actually drawing the edges of everything. So you see like they draw behind everything regardless of whether or not you actually see it. They want to see like every single form just to make sure that everything can sort of fit into the space, and also to make sure that your ellipses are all nice, unlike mine right now using this Wacom. But yeah, like they just want to be able to see all of the different forms that you have in it. And also, I like how in this they've actually put their character in it. That's really cool. I didn't even, I didn't even realize that you were allowed to do that. But then I looked at a bunch of these portfolios and I realized that I guess a lot of people are doing this now. No one really did this when I was taking animation, but I guess this is common to put your actual character in the room, which is pretty awesome. That's a great opportunity to build more of a story beyond just what you would have. Be weary of tangents. Do you know what tangents are?
Lines that cross each other in an awkward way.
Not necessarily cross, but just that seem to sort of intersect with one another. So like this one is getting pretty close to that edge there. See that edge of the brick is like almost right on. That's like sort of a no-no in composition. This isn't a big deal because this is such a tiny little thing and it's not really that bad. But sometimes there are like huge lines that are converging. Like notice at this distance, see when they actually drew this, this might have been overlapping. It might have just been like, oh, but that's when you would be like, okay, well, I can't do that. So I'm going to move this line like further away. So that was a good idea. You just want to make sure that nothing is sort of confusing. Everything should be clear. And also with the freehand drawing that you'll be doing, have you started it yet, by the way?
No.
Okay.
I haven't done the room drawing yet.
Okay, yeah. So when you do it, what I recommend doing is just getting a big piece of paper probably and just sketching out the perspective. So in this case, you would actually what I would really do is if I had more paper, what I would recommend doing is just extending. In this case, I'm just going to do it in Photoshop, but normally I would get more paper and tape them to the sides and then basically draw the perspective. So get a big ruler. Let's see if it's going to be thick enough. Yep. So you just look at the room that you're studying to do this and draw. See, this is the corner right here. And you draw this going out. Actually, what you would really do is draw in the other direction because you've got to find the horizon line. So it's doing something like that because you always want to find the horizon line first. And then, let's see. Like
so they
this.
just have 2 point?
Yeah, just 2 point. So, yeah, this is, let's see, I don't know where exactly they're, but from here, like once you find, you always just look at this corner first. For this example, I don't really need these extra lines, but what you would do is measure out and find the vanishing points, which you're probably well acquainted with. But we just want to like look at this edge and just notice where this is and whatever you like. You need to find the perspective first because then you'll be able to create a grid. So once you do that, once we here, make that line, then take this roof. So there we go. That's going to be the vanishing point line. This is much easier, obviously, in Photoshop to find this.
Yeah.
But you'll be doing it the slightly harder way. Also notice that in this example, yeah, see, this is very oop, I moved it a bit. This is very common in this room drawing exercise to have one vanishing point is often, you notice right here, this is much closer to the edge of the page, and then one is much further away. So this one's like all the way over here. This is very common. It helps to create a bit of drama so that it's not just completely flat on both sides. Some people would make this this one, like they'd make this one a little longer so that it was like way over there as well. And oops, and then it'd be over there. And that just looks a bit too even. You don't want it to be super even. You want it to be one side being more contrasting than the other. So just make sure to have one vanishing point that's there, and then the other one maybe further away, or the reverse, depending on obviously what room you're drawing. And if there's another corner, if there's like maybe it's a sort of pentagonal room or however you say that, if there's another edge, then you're going to have a third vanishing point. So then it might be something like this, in which case it'll be like that or something. See, you could have a room that has like another wall that doesn't go along this edge here. So that adds more interest too. So that could be cool if you do have a room like that. But basically, make your grid first, and then I'm just gonna try to clean this up actually so that I can actually do a good demonstration here. It's already pretty busy. That's the thing with perspective. You have to like make sure that you actually understand what you're drawing.
Yeah. My professor said you have to get like several different color erase pencils for it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I recommend doing the perspective grid. Well, actually, even the vanishing point and the horizon lines with a different colored pencil than you'll make the actual grid with, just because you need to know sort of where those horizon lines are at all times. So yeah, so what I would then do is make a new layer maybe, or just a new colored pencil. Maybe make this one green. And then I'm actually gonna make the line a bit thinner. And then you can just basically take from each of these points, just make a whole grid for your room. So just do a whole bunch of this kind of thing. Shoot, can you see that green? It's a little light. I'm gonna make it a bit darker. Yeah. So once you have a whole grid, then it's much easier to place things on top of it. Plus, this bottom layer, or bottom sheet of paper that has the grid, you're not going to draw anything on it. The grid is its own piece of paper. Yeah, so you can do this. So for example, I don't really need to do any on this wall, unless of course there's something on the wall like a shelf, in which case I would make a grid for this wall as well. What a lot of people do is they just do a grid all around, just so that they can always place something. And yeah, it's just, I find this grid technique much easier than just measuring every single thing from the vanishing points, because it takes a lot of time, and I'll show you how to do this. It'll be much faster. I don't know if have you seen anyone doing this technique?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, great. Yeah. Yeah, because once you have enough, like for this, I'll just do some things on the floor. So I have enough of a grid now. I'm just gonna, for my own sake, I'm just gonna turn down the opacity a bunch so that I can still see it, but it's not blinding me. And then, so any object, if I wanted to place like a brick somewhere, then I'm just gonna get this blue color. So then I can just do a vertical line for the corner of this brick or whatever it's going to be. Can you see this clearly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And then you don't really have to measure it anymore, because you have this line and this line to compare these lines to, and obviously this one and this one. So I just you just eyeball it. You just sort of, okay, well, this is where that line is, so this one's going to be pretty parallel to that nearest one to where I currently am. And then this is going to be straight up. And then this one, again, I'm looking at this line when I draw this line. You just draw it, reference it to the nearest line, and it keeps you pretty even. So if I want to do this, I just look at this. Well, actually, this line is closer right there. Look at that. And then you can just draw complex shapes, and you don't even have to measure it each time. It just saves a ton of time, I find. Yeah. I don't know what this is. It's a little hamster half pipe or something.
Sweet.
Yeah, but it's just super easy. The only tricky thing is, of course, when things are off kilter from this grid. So like this brick is a little bit off. That's going sort of back in a slightly different perspective. This one might be a little bit too. This gun is this is difficult to do something like this, but it also really is a great demonstration of your skill. He's even sort of made this ellipse a little bit odd. So you would go a little bit more around like that. But this is tricky. You just sort of, how he probably drew this, like if you saw his rough drawing, I'm sure he did like basically a line. He's like, okay, so this is the line. This is going to hit the edge of this, which then means that I'm going to draw this line down. And because you need to know where this line hits this square, where it's going to intersect, then you draw that down, and then you draw this out in perspective. And then that's how you find where that's going to hit. And you have to decide what kind of angle the gun's going to be and stuff. But if you can have something complex like that in your composition, it's all to your benefit, assuming that you actually do it well. But with enough time, you should be able to, because it looks nice. It's nice to have things that aren't just completely even all the time, like these containers over here. This box is off the actual grid. There's a whole bunch of things that are sort of off the grid that we've made. Even like these cans are sort of like a little wonky. That's nice. Like it makes it feel, like living, like an actual living place versus just something that we've done specifically for this exercise, which you want to try and avoid. Also notice that this is a great example of good line quality. You see how this stuff in the foreground is much, much darker than, especially, like look at these logs back here. And this shelf, even these corner lines. And the character is a little bit more bold, but that's because he's your character. So you want it to feel like, he's the center of attention. You don't want the attention to be drawn to these even. Even these stairs are a bit busy. Like it's good that she kept the lines pretty thin, but they're still pretty. Like if you look at this pretty far away, well, I guess this still captures your main eye, but still those stairs are pretty busy. So you want to be careful with that kind of stuff. Notice how in the cupboard here, see how it's pretty busy, but it's not super busy. Like she could have had way more stuff in here. There could have been stuff like down here, in front of that, in front of this. Like it's good because it's not overwhelming. You don't want to like sort of make the space just completely crazy. I think this last one actually, yeah. See, this one is getting pretty intense. especially like with this detail right here. Like, I hope in this person's case that they wanted this to be the center of interest, because it definitely is. It's just the texture of it really sort of draws your eye towards it. So yeah, as long as that's like intended, then that's all good. And I think it is, because it's in the rule of thirds. So chances are that's what they wanted you to look at. But you know, this is getting pretty busy, so you just have to be careful. But also, like, don't have a room that's completely bare either, just because it's just interesting to see mess sometimes. Like, there's stuff lying around, and it's kind of interesting. You know, it looks real. And this is a great example because almost everything is off of the grid, actually. Like this box, this chair. Yeah, I don't even know what is on the grid. Maybe this shelf, I guess. That's about it. Wow. Yeah. But yeah, that's a good one. I think this person got in, actually. Let's see. What else was I going to show you? I think there's another one to this. Oh. I just got a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, yeah. So I had a hand drawing, too. This is just a nice example of a hand drawing. And also notice that it's very see-through. Like, you can see through everything, almost to the point where it's getting like a little bit confusing, but just not like I think it still is pretty clear. The only thing is the tape is actually a little bit off perspective. If you look at that line versus that line, I think this would be more like going back like that. But yeah, like the line quality of the hands, you know how we've talked about like thick and thin lines?
Mm-hmm.
That's really nice how it like goes like this, tapers down, then it gets darker in certain areas, just to like create visual interest, especially like here where there's points of overlap. See how there's like a piece like that, and then this actually overlaps some skin, and then there might have been more wrinkles here, but she just simplified it. She just simplified it enough so that you could sort of just have a few without having too much, not feeling like it's like an old wrinkly person's hands or something. Oh shoot, I was drawing on the bottom layer. Such a noob mistake.
You're supposed to be the master here.
I always make a new layer. I wish that every time I open a new document, it just automatically made a new layer. That'd be great.
Make that as a preset.
Yeah. And also notice that there's all the fingers are doing slightly different things. These ones are a little bit static, but if they can all be varied a little bit, like maybe if this one is bent a little bit, is actually bending around, that would create a little bit more interest. Like this one, that's nice. How like this one's doing slightly different things than the rest of them, and then this one's sort of bending around. If you can do, I don't know, have you done your hand drawing yet?
No, I'm actually doing it with Karen.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, just this is a good example, and there's plenty of other good examples of the hand drawings. So line quality is huge, minimal, keeping very minimal texture lines, just enough to sort of communicate what it's doing, and of course draw through things. In this case, I think the reason that they drew the black line behind was because it's a see-through piece of tape. Like usually Scotch tape is pretty translucent, so they probably drew through it in that case. But even if it was opaque, you'd still keep those light blue lines behind, obviously.
Perfect. Okay.
Let's see. Oh yeah, this one's a little pixelated, but I think this might be on the Sheridan Animation Portfolio blog or something. But it's just nice that there's such a dynamic composition here, because to sort of start off, there's these great. Oh wow, it's grayscale. That's strange. So there's these great diagonals framing our shot right here to begin with. And notice that this one is cluttered, so I can't even see the edge. You know how I talked last week about how for the still life, you often don't see the edges of things. Like in this, look how many edges you actually see of corners and stuff. It's so busy and full of stuff that it's very, like there's just that, maybe something back there. But otherwise, everything is, there's always stuff. There's always stuff in the way. And this is very true of most rooms, except for new houses, obviously. But there's just a lot of nice detail in this. I really, really like this one. And of course, obviously, like this person is pointing out, there's foreground, a clear middle ground, and a clear background, which is back here. That's really nice. If you can have something like that, that's very ideal. And also, it's nice that we have a little bit of story here. Like this sort of sets up a scene for, you know, an animated character to step into this very easily. Yeah, and just the detail. Unfortunately, it's sort of pixelated, but the wood detail, the detail on actual surfaces will always be more intense in the foreground, and a little bit less intense. Although we're still getting some background wood texture here, it's less. It's always simplified as it gets further back. So back here, even though this might be a wood beam here, there's no texture on that. So the closer it is to the camera, to the screen, basically, the more texture you're going to see. Like even if this can was further back, you might not see these little bits just because that's like a little bit of extra detail. And as it gets further back, it's going to be really difficult to draw that, first of all. But even like this, the detail in this jar, you might just see like the shapes, kind of like this, just like super simplified as it gets further back. So keep that in mind. Just like as things go back, less and less texture and less darkness of line. Oh, I thought this was such a great story. It's kind of cool. I think you're going to do something with fairies, am I right? Or what was your object idea?
It was mirrors. And,
Oh, yes. Yeah,
yeah.
that's fantastic. So there's so much you can do with that is beyond even just like the constraints of reality. I mean, this person, I guess maybe this could have happened, but obviously they didn't see this. They just sort of made this out of the scene that they had. So this is really cool, especially because otherwise this wouldn't be the most interesting scene. It's just a computer, and I feel like they must get that all the time. But they had a pretty cool sort of thing that happened to it. So there's a good story, despite that some of these ellipses are completely off. I'm just realizing now. Oh geez, this is grayscale too. Yeah, so like this is such a thing. Karen will talk about the ellipses forever, I hope, but they're usually ellipses are the first place where people go wrong. So this ellipse, for example, is not correct perspective. Do you understand why in this case?
I need to see the grids, but yeah, I do understand why.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you just sort of eventually develop an eye for it. But really this line should be a lot more like
Down, open.
yeah, like that. You know? Oh, well, that's a horrible circle, but let's see if I can make that better. It would be more like actually on the surface, so it'd be like this. And then that means that this would also be rounder. And then this would be pretty similar. But even this, like this is just, that ellipse is going to look something like that. And we're seeing the whole top of the desk. I can tell that because like this desk is going way back in like this perspective line is way over there.
Yeah.
So like the skinnier this ellipse is, the more that it's like that, the more that you're saying this ellipse is close to that horizon line, and it's not. As we can see from the desk, it's actually going way back there. So it would be way more circular. And this is such a common something like that. Maybe even these are wrong. These speakers. This doesn't. If this is actually sitting on the surface, then this doesn't go back nearly enough.
It topple very easily, yeah.
Yeah, like it'd be more like that. But yeah, you eventually get an eye for this to the point where as soon as you see it, you can catch it. That's the scary thing though for you, because these teachers, like if something's off, they'll know it right away.
Yeah,
In fact,
blood in the water.
yeah, oh yeah, they've seen every possible combination. Even look at this computer. All of a sudden, they've decided that this perspective is going to go back in this direction. Like that doesn't make any sense. Like
No.
this is like going back here. Like how is there possibly a this would have to be picked up and tilted towards the camera for this to make sense. I really don't think that's happening. It's just sort of wonky. But anyways, good story. Like they definitely get points for story and line quality and all that. But in terms of the actual perspective, which unfortunately is the bulk of the exercise, like they really want to make sure that you know how to do perspective properly. I hope we get to see. Yeah, so this is the other one finally. Isn't this a great little story? You look at see, this is the character, and if you look at him, he's like got this saw or something, or I don't know, maybe he's who knows what's gonna happen there, but he looks like some kind of mobster. that's going to torture this poor guy or something. And it's just like, it's just a nice story. Like it's not a nice story, but it's a good story. It's like telling a story, which is valuable. So that's the point of this, is to have like a unique little thing. Also, I like how he's framed in the center here. Whenever you frame things in the center, aside from it being generally not looked too well upon in terms of composition, but it can have a very definite effect because everything feels like it's sort of around him, like he's like being closed in over here. He has like a little bit of space, and all these lines from the objects that they're creating are like sort of almost pointing at him, eh? Like they're all doing this kind of thing. Like, oh, we're all just gonna crowd him in there. Yeah, that's great. That's great composition. And yeah, it's nice that he's done sort of a cartoony look to this, even though he might well be drawing, his parents' garage or something, which is quite an ambitious task, I've got to say, because if you think about it, to be able to draw this, especially with these foreground barrels, I mean, he probably just guessed it, but if you really wanted to figure it out, you would have to bring this barrel down a whole bunch and figure out where the base is. So that, let's see, so one line's going back there, one line's going there, so it's going to be probably somewhere around, somewhere around there is my guess. That's probably roughly where the horizon line is. Actually, probably a little bit lower. But yeah, so that means that he if you wanted to do this correctly, I'm just saying, you would have to basically figure out where the bottom of this barrel is going to be. So that's tricky, but usually you can just eyeball it. Like it's so much work, but I'm just saying that, oh geez, I did it again. Thought I made a new layer.
Look at you.
Brutal. Yeah, there's lots of nice props in here.
Yeah.
And just like overlapping forms, like this barrel, it's overlapping this box, and this barrel's overlapping that box, and then this foreground, like almost everything is overlapping something. If you can do that, that's great.
Perfect.
And this one is off the grid, so like just turn things any way you want. It'll be way more difficult to draw, of course, but it'll create a lot more visual interest. So ultimately, I still think it's worth it.
Perfect.
Have you done the animal drawings yet, out of curiosity?
Yes, actually, I was drawing animals yesterday after school. Hold on.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I'm really lucky. There is a farm actually across the street from our school.
Yeah?
Yeah, so I went over there and I drew like pigs and sheep and baby goats and chickens.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. I don't know if you'll be able to see it because it's in blue stuff, but let's see. Going into forever here.
Oh, okay. Hold that there for a second.
Okay.
Oh, no. Okay. I think I got it before it went into its warp again. Let's see. Yeah, I did. Great.
Sweet.
Not the most ideal situation, but we're flexible here, so.
You did it. Hooray.
Awesome. Yeah, totally worked. Yeah, this is good. This is good. This is definitely what you're looking for. And I like, at least I think that you've drawn a bit of the sort of shoulder blade here. It looks like you've like made a chunk of this coming out like that.
Yeah.
And then also some folds as well. Lots of overlap. That's looking good. Let's see. I guess another thing you do is in light blue, sort of separate the pieces that are going to bend. So you could draw those ellipses around these areas, and maybe you've done this. I'm not sure. I just can't. Maybe I can't see it properly.
Oh no,
but
this is good.
yeah. So just like any part that would bend, like this leg, for example, you draw. Yeah, I think you have some of the feet. It looks a little bit like a bunny leg, but yeah. So basically, the bone is doing this. That's like the direction of the bone. Everything else is muscle and fat.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be like a circle there, and then some kind of circle there probably. And yeah, just do it sort of seamlessly. Like I've done it a bit. Like you're gonna have that lighter blue, obviously. And yeah, just make it nice and neat, like hardly just sitting in the background, not like being like, hey, look at me. It's just a little reminder that you know how to construct them and how their anatomy actually works. And it's nice. I think you have the form underneath. That's very important because obviously it's not just a two-dimensional peg. There's that other leg, and this is going to sort of go in and wrap around. You could even, if you want to, you could even draw the rib cage, which is doing something like this. That would be in the lighter blue, though. Actually, I'll draw that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's sort of the rib cage shape. The pelvis for these animals is really interesting. It kind of goes up like this. But you know, this is getting a little bit. I don't know if you need this much detail. There's usually a bit of a, if you want to darken one area, it'd probably be this piece. There's usually a bit of a bump there because the bone comes forward. This is like the equivalent of the knee for a pig, or any quadruped for that matter. But yeah, this is a great drawing. Definitely, you could use this, and that's so convenient that you have your farm right next door.
Yeah, I'm really lucky.
Yeah.
And they had a whole bunch of baby calves.
Yeah.
They're adorable. Yeah, I
Oh,
drew
do you
them.
have some?
I
Let's
do,
see.
but they're not as developed as the pig.
Okay.
Yeah, here. Let's go with this one because this one has more detail. Let's see. Super light pencil drawing.
Cool. Nice. Yeah, that's great. If you can, I don't know if this is possible, but if you can get some that are moving, I know it's super difficult, but even just a gesture, like if you got something like this, if it was just like the pig sort of moving and you just got like a very simple gesture, and maybe you have the line of action of the spine and then the rib cage and then sort of like their skeleton a little bit, maybe a little bit of that scapula and then the back leg.
How do you feel about chickens then? Because I kind of just doodled some chickens.
Oh yeah, let's see.
Not very good chickens though.
Let's see.
Oh no, you don't want to see these. Trust me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, chicken definitely, but just it's all about the structure. So, in fact, I think there might have been some chickens in that example that oh shoot, no, oh yeah, there is. Yeah, of course. There's these little furry guys. These are a little bit too hairy of a line, I would say. I would clean that up a little bit because you don't need to see every feather. That's not really the goal of this, but more so just the chunks of feathers. So, like, what are like maybe there's certain dominant chunks here. I'm actually just going to turn the opacity down. It's a bit dark. So in this case, you might just like simplify this to like a couple little feathers like that, and then have it wrap around as if it's kind of like a cartoon.
Yeah.
And a couple little feathers, and then it stops.
Garth,
Yeah?
I can see your hair.
What?
Your screen share went down.
Oh, shoot. So that is not useful, I'm guessing. You cannot learn from looking at my hair.
No, they're not lumps of chicken.
Oh, wow. What's going on? Is it still working?
No, I can just see your hair again.
Oh,
By the way,
shoot.
did you get a haircut?
I did.
Looks good.
Yeah. Thanks. It needed to happen, but it's still long on top, so I still have the business at the sides and the party on top.
Hey, at least you got it going on.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna screen share again. I don't know why that stopped. That's so weird. I didn't even press anything. All right.
Witchcraft.
Working now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Don't worry, I didn't get too far. Just to the chicken. But yeah, so I'm just like simple. Oh, geez. Why is it stuck on the hand? Oh, that's why. Okay. Oh boy. So yeah, just simplify everything, even though it's so tempting because chickens are so fluffy and you just want to draw all the feathers. Just try and like group them in the pieces and overlap those feathers.
Smooth them out.
Yeah. And it's okay to have double lines like this. That implies that you're sort of searching for that line. That is sometimes actually a nice look. You don't need to have super clean lines, especially for these. These are like gestures. They're the same as life drawing, really.
Well,
But
that'd be nice to see, but unfortunately I only see your hair again.
what? Oh no! Why is it giving up on the screen share? I'm gonna plug in my laptop, which means that I won't be lit, but whatever. All right. It actually works better when I plug it in for some reason. I'm not sure why. All right, bring it on, computer. Let's see.
Man versus man.
Yeah. Hey, it didn't take again. What's going on here?
Do you want to end the call and then go back to it? Like, just hang up, try again. Ring a ding ding. Anyone home? Eureka!
Whoa, that was crazy. I didn't even know you could do that. So I guess when you stay online, the call doesn't drop. And so then I can just join it again. That's so great. All right.
That's really weird. No? Okay, you're good.
What?
I thought you were going. I'm like, no, not the black screen of death.
I think we're good. We'll see. See how long it lasts. Jeez. Oh yeah, the chickens. That's where I was. Okay. Reminds me, I did an animated freelance video, and it was about a company that makes these backyard chicken coops, and so I did all the sound effects for the storyboard just as like a placeholder, but they liked them so much that they kept them in. So my sound effects are now famous.
That's beautiful. Oh my god.
So this sheep, for example, this is sort of along the lines of what I handed in, and I did not do well on my animal drawings at that point in time. They really want to see more like simplification. They don't want to see like all this fur texture, just little bits of it, just enough to sort of communicate what the fur is doing. They don't need to see the whole thing, just like a sort of a cartoon version of it, just like kind of something like this. This is like something that they would like to see. You can do some curls, obviously, but just not tons. And then down here, maybe you'd straighten it. You could have this. And then again, you might draw the structure a little bit. Joint, that joint. And then the shoulder blade, that's going to be up here. You don't actually need to draw the entire shoulder blade, but just a piece of it. Wow, it's actually working great now. This Photoshop is way faster. I just need a little, yeah, I just need a little restart, I think. But yeah, like that kind of interpretation of the leg and everything else. And like the head, they'll often want like a little ellipse for the head to just communicate where it's going to be bending at, even an ellipse here. They're kind of crazy with the ellipses. They love the ellipses because a lot of character designers will include that with all their cartoon characters. So it's just, yeah, it's pretty important. Yeah, just that kind of thing. So like that versus, that super hairy line that you see below. This is close. You want that spinal line, but then you draw like a little bit of pelvis, and then maybe emphasize that because that's a bone. That's going to be one of those joints. Go down. Sometimes you'll even draw that midline. Another bump, another ellipse, and then the hose. But yeah. And the rib cage, which you can always see clearly. That's the great thing about these quadrupeds is that you can always see the rib cage fairly clearly because their belly will almost always dip in a little bit. So yeah, that's sort of what I would try and get. Even if like when you're at the farm, for example, you'll probably get something more like this, but then just take your pencil afterwards and draw some of the structure. So draw those ellipses, and draw like the midline as if that's how you interpret it when you were doing it. The rib cage, and ellipse. Where's my Wacom? Oh, there it is. Another ellipse. Oh, are we still on? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did it make a sound? It made a sound, and I'm like, oh no. Okay, all good.
The hiccup.
Yeah. But yeah, just like do this over top of your drawings. And you can totally still do that with a pig, for example. Like that'll be fine. This is great too. See how this horse is it's getting closer. There's still quite a few lines, but it's getting some good structure here. It's even got like that muscle which sits there. Be better to see those ellipses there, but yeah, that's sort of, and there's nice variety of line quality. There's some areas that are dark. They drew behind again because there's structure there. So you could even just break it down into planes if you wanted to. Yeah, something like that. Even this, like some people will draw straight lines to sort of emphasize how it would be. Like instead of using ellipses, if you want, you can use like a box so that you're sort of drawing the edges of a box. I don't really like this as much because it doesn't flow as much, but some people really like that. They like drawing everything in boxes. Yeah, it's up to you. I think this way is a little bit more flowy. It's funny, rabbits are just a bunch of circles. Like they're just like 1 circle, 2 circle, 3 circle, and 4 circle with a couple of lines poking out. And they always look like this. This obviously unless they're in movement, but good luck getting one of those. Cows are really interesting. Their anatomy is quite tricky, especially from this angle, because the pelvis, sorry, is way up here. It's like right on the back, so it's very odd to draw. So yeah, I like your pigs. Just keep going with that. If you can draw some in motion, even better. If you can capture even just a little bit of that and then fix it up later, that's all good. That'll definitely work. This is a great object drawing example because there's such a great story here. Like the gun, I mean, obviously this person probably didn't have a gun, or maybe they had a toy gun or something, but it's nice because this isn't even, notice how this isn't even one of the objects that you need to draw. This is completely optional. Same with like this bag, but like look at all that nice line detail that they have in there. See how it's sort of like an excuse to just show off your drawing ability, which is fine. That's what you want to do for this. So yeah, just any way that you can. And even the newspaper, like look at the detail that they put into this while still keeping it pretty simple. All the lines inside of the newspaper are very light, and the outside, the contour of the paper is very dark. So that's a great way to sort of minimize the amount of detail, even though this would normally be very detailed. So you can guess, I don't know if this is before or after. I'm guessing after. But yeah, obviously something happened here. There was some kind of battle scene or, something. So that it's just a very, very clear story. That's great. And also, of course, again, everything's overlapping. So there's just overlap, 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 overlap here. Yeah, everything. That's great. That's what I want to try and do. Oh, yeah. You know how we talked, whether it was last week or the week before, about your personal projects that you're going to include.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy, as you know from the past ones, he's the character design that this person picked. And so this person managed to put their own character design, not just in their character rotation and the emotions, but in the perspective room drawing. And they even took the same objects. If this is the same person as this person, it could be, because this is also very crime looking. Like it seems like it might be the same thing. Oh, wow. Do you know what I just realized? Look at this picture of the paper. Do you recognize that? Yeah. This is wow, I didn't realize that. That's the inside of the interior. That's so great. So they've tied the whole thing together in one big story. That's fantastic. And this storyboard or comic was basically just an extra personal piece. So I really think if you have the time, definitely make a comic piece or something, some kind of storyboard. So like some kind of extra story about your characters specifically, because then you get to prolong the story a bit. The only thing I don't like here.
Dedication.
Yeah. I just don't like this, how it goes like that. That's just weird. It's too much. It's too graphic. Like, it'd be nice if and I get that it's sort of a graphic look, but there's some things that are stylistically strange. Like this is not enough structure at all to make me convinced this is a nose. Maybe if they just did that, then that's okay.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
And that's even a little bit too graphic there, because then this is sort of a profile view. Like you could draw a person like this. But yeah, just little things. But yeah, just a great idea to do more story. Some text demonstrates your writing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much time you'll have. This would be great, but not super necessary. Yeah, that's fantastic. Let's see, what else can I tell you about these? Yeah, I mean, I hope this gives you some ideas for your own room drawing. It does take a little while. The room drawing sometimes takes a little longer than the other ones, just because, to work out all the perspective and draw that grid and then make sure that everything is in line, everything makes sense, and then you have to worry about the presentation line quality. Like it can be pretty substantial. Sometimes it takes longer than the actual character design. How is your character design doing, by the way? We haven't seen that before.
Yeah, no, it's good. I'll send you the character rotations later on. Probably Tuesday or Wednesday when I'm back at school.
Sure. Sounds good. I found this website, by the way. It's somebody's portfolio that they got accepted with. I could send you this. It's pretty good. The life drawing is pretty strong, even though it's a little cartoony, but I guess it still works. Like it definitely still is clearly done from life. There's nice structure. There's line variation. There's some movement there. There's the robot. And notice how they've drawn the rib cage in very clearly. I mean, you're the TA of life drawing, so I'm sure your life drawing is fine. But yeah,
It's decent, but yeah.
Yeah, they love life drawing. That's like one of their favorite. Oh, that's cool. She even mentions what book she studied. That's so nice. Oh, George Bridgman is great. So is Andrew Loomis. Not sure about the other ones as much, but yeah. Yeah, see, this is great. See how these hands, this is a very tough hand pose, first of all. And also, it's clearly from life because it's her left hand, or, well, most people are right-handed. So, yeah, I mean, to me, that communicates that it's done from life. And then this afterhand, see all those constructions line? I hope you can see that on your screen.
I can't.
How you can, yeah, great. Those blue lines beneath are very, very indicative of those forms. That's really fantastic. So yeah, that's a great example. Nice line quality. Yeah, this is great. I question whether this is done from life, but you know, it's a good drawing. It still fits. That's cool. Wow, I don't see too many alligators, but obviously that's not exactly, not everyone can see alligators. Character's really strange, but like, I gotta say, it's a pretty ambitious undertaking. Like that's a strange character, but
It really is.
yeah, they've like made it work, I guess. It's just a weird concept. I'm not such a big fan of some of these poses. Like this one, for example, on the left, that far arm in the back there is a little bit strange. There's
Yeah.
not really enough detail there for me to understand exactly what's going on there. It's a bit vague, but this one's pretty good. This one's pretty full of movement. Not a big fan of the facial expression, but otherwise it's quite strong.
Yeah.
These are pretty good, although they're breaking character a little bit in some of them. Some of them don't really look like the same character. It's so tricky. That's why like I hope I can see some of yours at some point, just because it's sometimes really difficult to decide how to make the characters look like the same character. Even just the slightest movement of the eye, right or left, will completely change the feeling of the character. It's such a subtle art. So yeah, if I could get to see yours at some point, that'd be good.
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Show me your character drawings.
Well, you know, whenever you can. No rush. Well, I guess a bit of a rush. I don't. When is your portfolio day again?
It's due March 1st.
Okay, so you got a month.
Yeah.
This is
I'm trying to get everything done by the 15th or the
Great.
14th.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, don't do anything this complicated then. Oh my God.
Ugh.
Also so strange. I don't think she actually ended up handing this in, but this was her first attempt. Pretty odd. Yeah, see, all of her. She just posted all of her stuff here. I think this is great. This one is also a great example of a room drawing. See, it's again like she really darkened those lines in the foreground, and then the middle ground lines are sort of a medium, and then the background lines are super light. Like you really get a feeling of depth for this, I find. And she's just also darkened areas because this couch goes back into sort of the background, but she's still darkened it because she wants you to look at this. So that's interesting. She's just really darkening the areas that she wants you to look at. And this is in the most foreground. So I guess, yeah, so it's right there basically.
Is there a whale in her living room?
A whale? Oh, this thing. I think that's a chair. It does look like a whale though. Good point. A whale chair. Yeah, be careful with vagueness. Sometimes people will be a little lost by that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is great, by the way. See how she's done the after as being just mauled by rats?
Mm-hmm.
Thought that was a pretty clever way.
Neat.
Ugh, go away, VirusScan. These are her personal pieces. Some nice painting for sure. That can go a long way. And caricatures, they love caricatures. If you want to do any of those, like these are pretty crazily strong. I feel like she might have done them definitely done them from photos, but she might have looked at other people's caricatures and been a little bit inspired, I would say. but you know, whatever it takes. The foot. See, this is like a very common personal piece that people do as well, because obviously they ask you to draw a hand, but they never ask you to draw a foot, and the foot is quite difficult. I actually find it more difficult than the hand. Interestingly, I don't know why. I just always have trouble with the foot. But if you want to do a easy personal piece, if you do some nice foot drawings, that is a good idea. A lot of people do it, but you know, it still works. It's more anatomy. And some digital painting. Oh, that bottom one's acrylic, I guess. Yeah, this person's pretty strong. Like, I think they must have been on the upper end of their year, I would say. Storyboards are slightly, well, no, they're still pretty good. Yeah, some good storytelling there, that's for sure. Have you heard of this, by the way, Tech on Concrete?
No.
It's very well known for its incredibly elaborate background art. As you can,
Oh, the movie.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I've seen that. It's freaking nuts.
yeah, like incredibly, amazingly detailed backgrounds. I was trying to find interiors for you because I feel like if this is, you know, they must have beautiful interiors too. But yeah, I couldn't find any. But just to see for like what you can do, like the potential of background design. Another, obviously, a good one is
Yeah, Studio Ghibli.
yeah, they have amazing background painter. Yeah, these aren't quite as relevant, but if you did want to do a background painting, that is one of the classes in animation. It's just not really expected to be good at that until second year or so. But just amazingly beautiful drawing, and these are real paintings. They're not digital. They're actual
Yeah,
water.
no, most of these are watercolor.
Yeah,
Which
it
is
blows me away.
nuts.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. They really are masters of this, like in the truest sense. They're so good at what they do. And this is mostly one guy, I think. His name starts with an O. Yeah. And sometimes, however, it is done from photos, but even if it is done from photos, this is like they've simplified it in such a way that it just is they're really masters of keeping the detail in certain areas really compact so that there is still lots of detail, but then in other areas it's just almost flat color. That
Yeah.
is like such a great look. If you can study from them, then definitely do so. But yeah, shoot, I wish there were interiors. I wonder if there is.
Probably. There's one animation studio called Trigger, and this guy did like 16 hours on an 8-second frame.
Wow,
Yeah, it
crazy.
was beautiful.
Well, I guess if you love it, then what is that called again? Could I search that?
Here, I'll search it for it. It's kind of hard to find.
Okay.
Yeah. It's called Little Witch Academia.
Sorry?
And Little Witch Academia, but the animation studio is called Trigger.
Okay.
Yeah, they did a lot of like animes and whatnot.
And it's an interior.
Yeah, they have a lot of interiors. Here, let me show you. Do you mind if I screen share?
Yeah, sure.
All right. All right. You see it?
Yeah.
Like, a little bit nuts. Kind of,
Whoa, that's crazy.
yeah. It's good. It's definitely a good piece. If this will show up. Like, good to watch. I mean, yeah, they have a lot of interior shots.
Amazing.
Yeah. No big deal. This.
Yeah, that totally blows me away. That's just, it would take so long. Like it's funny because animation isn't seen as like a fine art in some regards, but if you look at the actual background paintings, it absolutely is. If anything, it's like the finest art because it's just so labor intensive. It requires so much knowledge.
Yeah, no, like Bambi. Have you seen Bambi?
Yeah, I love the Bambi backgrounds with some of my
Yeah.
favorites actually.
Yeah. There's just like a lot of good interior shots.
Yeah. Oh, a pan. Yeah, you can always tell they do that when it's a panning shot. Wow.
So I mean, they're definitely dedicated to what they do.
Yeah, yeah, I would say so. Jeez, well, that's great. Yeah, look at as much reference as you can. There's got to be some amazing interiors. I can't think of a movie offhand. Even something like Pinocchio has some great interiors, actually.
Oh, Pinocchio is so pretty.
It's what?
It's so pretty.
Yeah, yeah, totally. But yeah, so let me know what work you have. Send it over, and I'll do a draw over this week. And yeah, let me know what you want to talk about next week, and we'll discuss it.
Definitely. I actually think, isn't today our last day together?
Oh shoot, is it?
Yeah.
I'll double check. Yeah, I'll talk to Karen. But wow, that's crazy. Jeez. Well, shoot, good luck. I mean, unless I get to, I'll see you again. Just yeah, let me know if you want any more sessions, and we'll make it happen. Otherwise, good luck, Mary. I hope you get in.
Thanks. It was
You'll be
lovely.
so close by.
Huh?
Sorry? Oh, I said you'll be so close by. I'll come see you
Yes.
sometime.
I'll be excited if I get into Canada. I really want to go.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Thank you, Garth.
No problem.
All right. I'll keep you in contact.
Yeah, let me know everything that happens. And if some students that I've had will even contact me in the future, and they'll just ask me the odd question by email, and I'll totally get to it. Maybe not right away. Sometimes I'll have lots of emails coming in, but if you have any immediate questions, just send them over, and I'll answer them as I can.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No problem. All right. Take care, Mary.
Bye.
Yeah.